Today we're unpacking something incredibly profound: the deep, undeniable link between the unhealed parts of ourselves, the psychological masks we unknowingly put on every day, and the actual physical reality we end up experiencing. So let's jump right into the big question here. Why does it feel like we are constantly hitting a brick wall? You know what I mean. Repeating the exact same painful life patterns, no matter how hard we try to change our circumstances. Why do certain toxic relationship dynamics, or even that exact same micromanager boss, just keep reappearing at every new job we take? We usually blame our upbringing, the economy, or just plain old bad luck, right? But what if the cause was actually much closer to home? Well, to make sense of this, we're looking at the philosophy of Neville Goddard. He was a mystic and author who taught a pretty radical concept. He said the external world isn't just some random series of chaotic events. Rather, it's a direct reflection of our internal state of consciousness. Basically, nothing happens to you by chance. Every single detail of your world is literally your internal landscape externalized. Part 1, wounds and repeating patterns. Because if the world is just reflecting our consciousness, we really need to understand what's going on inside our minds. It all boils down to one crucial keyword: state. Think of a state as the psychological mask you're wearing. Goddard defines it as everything a person believes and fundamentally consents to be true. It's your absolute conception of yourself, built on your deepest beliefs and everyday feelings. See, an idea can't manifest in your life unless you actually accept it and identify with it. But once you do, it becomes the lens you look through and the mold for what the world reflects right back at you. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Think about your body as this giant emotional filter. Our unacknowledged suffering, those suppressed emotional wounds, secretly dictate this mask we wear. Goddard points out that when you feel a deep sense of injustice but swallow it down, that intense feeling doesn't just vanish. No, it creates a subconscious pattern of illness in your body and sheer frustration in your environment. You end up unknowingly wearing the mask of a victim, and your reality has absolutely no choice but to conform to that state. Which brings us to Section 2. The world is a mirror. It's time we completely redefine how we view our surroundings. Goddard actually points out just how ridiculous our usual problem-solving is. I mean, trying to change the world by force, manipulating people, constantly protesting against your circumstances, it's literally as useless as smashing a mirror just because you don't like the reflection of your own face. The mirror is just doing its job. It's reflecting. The universe acts as a flawless, highly responsive mirror. Your conception of yourself determines exactly what it shows you. So when your inside is blocked by a resistance, regret, or pain, the outside logically reflects that exact same resistance. As within, so without. If you're deeply frustrated with the reflection, you have to leave the mirror alone and simply change your face. Section 3. The masks we wear. Let's look at exactly how these internal emotional masks dictate what we see every day. Before any outer condition, whether that's poverty, conflict, or illness, becomes visible, it must first be assumed and felt deeply on the inside. It's all about the sheer power of I am. Goddard teaches that I am is basically the foundational substance of reality. When you say or deeply feel, I am unloved or I am sick, your consciousness takes that exact mold. The outer reflection is really just a delayed echo of your internal I am statement. So how are we building these I am states? Mostly through our constant, totally unnoticed inner speech. You know those fake arguments you keep winning against your boss while you're in the shower? Yeah, we forget all about those, and then we are genuinely shocked when we run into real conflict later that day. Our unhealed regrets, fixed attitudes, and specifically our automatic negative reactions are constantly solidifying the very reality we feel trapped in. Moving to Section 4, the illusion of external change. We have to confront the fact that fighting shadows on the wall just doesn't work. It is entirely pointless to protest against what happens to us. Fighting the outside, blaming the economy, blaming bad luck, blaming other people, is just a useless readjustment of the surface. That's the wrong way. The right way, where your true power lies, is turning inward. If your life is filled with conflict, you've got to search within yourself for the root cause, because your world is already perfectly harmonized with your internal concept of self. Goddard warns us explicitly about this. Any effort we make, no matter how hard we work or how loudly we argue, that isn't accompanied by a real shift in our consciousness is just moving pieces around on the surface.
You simply cannot change the root cause from the outside, and you cannot receive more than your subconscious assumptions allow.
Finally, Section 5, Transformation from Within. If the world is a mirror, how do we actually take off the old mask? Okay, to genuinely transform your reality, here are the 4 steps. First, stop fighting the mirror. Just let the outside world be. Second, carefully observe your inner speech, but do it without judging yourself. Watch those automatic reactions that stem from your wounds. Third, let that old identity go. Goddard calls this a psychological death. You have to completely detach your attention from your old limitations. And fourth, assume the feeling, both physically and emotionally, of the reality you actually want. Feel it as if it's already true right now.
So, I want to leave you with this to chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Now that you know your unacknowledged suffering and those daily mental conversations literally dictate your physical reality, what mask are you going to consciously choose to wear today? Remember, the universe is just waiting to reflect whatever you assume yourself to be. Choose wisely, change the inside, and watch the outside completely transform. Thanks for joining me.